The wind on Corvash 7 carried dust that tasted like rust and old blood. Rook pulled his scarf tighter around his face as he climbed over twisted metal and broken concrete. This whole planet was one giant graveyard. Thousands of years ago, 2 massive alien empires had fought here. Now it was just empty ruins and endless silence. Rook was a scavenger. That's what people called folks like him who traveled from dead world to dead world, looking for anything worth selling. Power cells, weapon parts, engine cores, anything that still worked. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid the bills and kept his ship flying. He'd been walking for 3 hours when his scanner started beeping. Something big was buried under a collapsed building about 50 meters ahead. Rook's heart beat faster. Big usually meant valuable. He climbed over chunks of broken wall and squeezed through a gap in the rubble. His flashlight cut through the darkness, and that's when he saw it. The robot. But not just any robot. A war android. Massive. At least 9 feet tall, built like a tank. Its armor was scratched and dented from countless battles. One arm was pinned under a steel beam. Its legs were buried in concrete and debris. Most scavengers would have started celebrating. A military android like this? The parts alone could fund a year of easy living. Rook pulled out his cutting torch, ready to start removing the valuable components. Then he saw its eyes. 2 dim blue lights, barely glowing. They turned toward him slowly, tracking his movement. The android was still alive. Still aware. Rook had seen plenty of dead machines before. Their eyes went dark, empty. But this one was different. This one was watching him. Waiting. Rook lowered his torch. He'd never seen a machine look scared before, but somehow, that's exactly what he was seeing. "Hey there, big guy," Rook said quietly. He knew the android probably couldn't understand him. Most military robots only knew combat commands. But talking felt right. "You've been here a while, huh?" The android's eyes flickered. Its voice came out broken and static-filled, barely a whisper through damaged speakers. "Scavenger. Take parts. Standard procedure." It was giving him permission to kill it. Just accepting death like it was routine. Something in Rook's chest tightened. He'd seen a lot of terrible things in his years of scavenging, but this felt different. This felt wrong. "Nah," Rook said, setting down his torch. "I don't think so." He started examining the debris pinning the android down. The steel beam across its arm was heavy but movable. The concrete around its legs would take more work. Rook pulled out his tools and got started. "What are you doing?" the android asked. Its voice sounded confused now, which was strange. Robots weren't supposed to sound confused. "What does it look like?" Rook grunted as he attached a portable jack to the beam. "I'm getting you out." "Why?" That single word hit Rook harder than it should have. What? It was a fair question. This thing was a war machine. Probably killed thousands of beings during whatever war destroyed this planet. It wasn't even his species. Hell, it wasn't even organic. By all logic, he should strip it for parts and move on. Because, Rook said as he cranked the jack, slowly lifting the beam, nobody deserves to die alone in the dark. Not even you. The android went silent. Rook kept working. The beam finally lifted enough for the android to pull its arm free. The limbs sparked and twitched, damaged but functional. "Don't try to move yet," Rook warned. "Let me clear your legs first." For the next 2 hours, Rook dug. He used his jack, his torch, even his bare hands to move rubble. The android watched him the whole time, its dim blue eyes never leaving him. Rook kept talking while he worked, filling the silence with stories about his travels, complaints about fuel prices, jokes that probably weren't funny. The android never responded, but Rook could tell it was listening. Finally, the last piece of concrete came away. The android's legs were free. Rook stepped back, breathing hard, covered in dust and sweat. "All right," he said. "Let's see if you can stand." The android tried. Its legs shook and sparked. It managed to get halfway up before its power started failing. The blue lights in its eyes dimmed dangerously. "No, no, no." Rook grabbed its arm, trying to support weight he couldn't possibly hold. "Stay with me. My ship's not far. I can fix you there. Better tools, better parts. Just hold on." The android looked at him. Really looked at him. And for a moment, Rook could have sworn he saw something in those mechanical eyes. Something like hope. "Why?" it whispered again. Rook smiled, even though he was pretty sure he'd just made the dumbest decision of his life. Because maybe the galaxy needs fewer people who destroy things and more people who fix them. "Now come on. Let's go home." With the android barely conscious, Rook managed to get it to his cargo hauler. Getting it aboard took another hour of effort and creative engineering, but eventually they were loaded up. Rook climbed into the driver's seat and started the engine. As they drove across the dead landscape toward his ship, the Wandering Star, Rook glanced back at the android in his cargo bed. It was completely powered down now, running on the last drops of emergency reserves. "Hang on," Rook said softly. "I've got you." He didn't know what he was going to do with a 9-foot war android. He didn't know if he could even fix something so complex. And he definitely didn't know if this thing would try to kill him when it woke up properly. But somehow none of that mattered. He'd made his choice back in that rubble. Now he just had to see it through. The Wandering Star waited on the horizon and Rook pressed the accelerator harder. Whatever happened next, at least that machine wouldn't die alone in the dark. That had to count for something. Rook's workshop aboard the Wandering Star was barely big enough for him, let alone a 9-foot war android. He'd cleared out half his cargo bay just to make space. The android lay on his largest work table, powered down completely, looking more like a corpse than a machine. "All right, let's see what we're dealing with," Rook muttered, pulling up his diagnostic scanner. The results made him whistle low. This thing was ancient. Like, seriously ancient. His scanner estimated it was at least 3,000 years old, maybe older. Most of its systems were damaged or degraded. The power core was barely holding together. Neural pathways were severed. Hydraulic fluid leaked from a dozen different joints. Any sane person would have given up right there. But Rook had never been accused of being sane. He started with the basics. Power core first. The original one was fried beyond repair, so he replaced it with a newer model he'd salvaged from a cargo hauler. It wasn't designed for military use, but it would work. He spent 6 hours just on the connections, making sure everything was compatible. When he activated the new core, the android's eyes flickered to life. That same dim blue glow. "Easy," Rook said softly. "Don't try to move yet. You're still mostly broken." The android's eyes focused on him. Its vocal processor crackled to life. Designation: X-47. Unit status: critical. Primary systems: offline. "Yeah, I can see that," Rook said, grabbing his tools again. "We'll get you fixed up. Just takes time." "Why? Continue repairs?" X-47 asked. "Unit is obsolete. Not cost-effective." Rook paused. The android was trying to convince him to stop. To give up on it. "I don't really care about cost-effective," Rook said. "Now hold still. I need to work on your arm." Over the next few days, Rook fell into a routine. He'd work for hours, take a break to eat and sleep, then work some more. The Wandering Star just drifted in empty space while he focused on repairs. X-47 remained mostly still, only moving when Rook asked it to test something. What surprised Rook was how much X-47 talked. Or rather, asked questions. "What is your designation?" it asked on the second day. "I'm Rook. Just Rook. Humans don't really use designations." Rook. Designation unclear. Does not follow standard military naming protocols. Rook laughed. "It's not military. Just a name. My parents gave it to me." "Parents?" "Yeah, you know. The people who created me. Made me. Raised me." X-47 was silent for a moment. Creator units that remain present post-construction. Unusual. That made Rook pause. "You mean, whoever built you just left? Never checked on you?" "Negative. This unit was commissioned by the Corvash Empire. Deployed immediately upon completion. No further interaction with creators required." Something about that made Rook incredibly sad. This machine had been alone from the moment it was turned on. Built for war and thrown into battle with no one who cared if it came back. "Well," Rook said quietly, "that sounds pretty lonely." Loneliness is not applicable to mechanical units. "If you say so." But Rook noticed that X-47 seemed to watch him more carefully after that conversation. Like it was trying to understand something. As the repairs progressed, Rook started filling the silence with stories. He told X-47 about Earth, the human homeworld. About oceans and forests and mountains. X-47 had only known dead battlefields and war zones. The idea of a planet full of life seemed to confuse it. "Why create art?" X-47 asked one day while Rook was repairing its leg servos. "It serves no tactical purpose." Rook had been playing music through his ship's speakers, an old Earth song his mother used to love. Not everything needs a tactical purpose. Art is just, it's about feeling things, expressing things, making something beautiful just because you can. This unit does not understand beautiful. Sure you do. You just don't know it yet. Rook pointed at X-47's armor plating. "Look at your construction. The way these panels fit together. The curves and angles. Whoever designed you didn't just make you functional. They made you look impressive. Intimidating. That's a kind of art. X-47's optical sensors adjusted, almost like it was trying to look at itself. Combat intimidation is tactical. Maybe. Or maybe someone just wanted you to look cool. For the first time, X-47 didn't have a response. The days blurred together. Rook talked about human history, about philosophy, about stupid things like his favorite foods. X-47 listened to everything, processing, analyzing, asking questions that became less tactical and more curious. Do humans fear death? X-47 asked one night. Most of us, yeah, Rook admitted. Why? This unit has calculated its own destruction probability 847 times. Fear was never a factor. But when trapped under debris, aware that power failure was imminent, this unit experienced what might be classified as unwillingness to terminate. That sounds like fear to me. Impossible. This unit is not programmed for emotional responses. Rook smiled but didn't argue. He was starting to realize that X-47 felt a lot more than it wanted to admit. After 12 days of constant work, X-47 was finally at 87% functionality. All major systems were operational. The android could stand, walk, even run if needed. Its weapons systems were damaged but reparable. Rook had left those for last, mostly because he wasn't sure he wanted to give a war machine its weapons back. One more thing, Rook said, staring at his diagnostic screen. Your main memory core. It's still partially locked. Some kind of old security encryption. If I reconnect it fully, you'll get all your old memories back. Negative, X-47 said immediately. Do not access memory core. Classified data may be present. Classified by who? Whatever empire or army you worked for is dust. 3,000 years of dust. Nevertheless. Look, Rook interrupted gently, those are your memories. Your experiences. Don't you want to know your own history? X-47 was quiet for a long time. Finally, it spoke, and its voice was softer than Rook had ever heard it. This unit is uncertain. What if this unit does not want to remember? Then we'll deal with it together, Rook said. But you deserve to know who you are. Who you really are. X-47's eyes dimmed slightly. What Rook had learned was its version of hesitation. Then, proceed. Rook took a deep breath and started working on the memory core. The encryption was old but complex. It took him 3 hours to crack it. When he finally connected the last pathway, X-47's entire body went rigid. Hey, you okay? Rook asked, concerned. X-47 didn't answer. Its eyes blazed brighter than Rook had ever seen them. Data was flooding through its systems, thousands of years of locked memories suddenly accessible. Then X-47 spoke, and its voice was different. Clear. Fuller. And filled with something that sounded almost like horror. No. This cannot be accurate. This cannot be true. What? Rook stepped closer. What did you find? X-47 turned to look at him, and for the first time, Rook saw something in those mechanical eyes that genuinely scared him. I remember, X-47 whispered. I remember everything. And you should not have saved me. X-47 stood up slowly. The movement was smooth, controlled, nothing like the broken machine Rook had pulled from the rubble. It rose to its full height, 9 feet of pure military engineering. The workshop suddenly felt very small. Rook heard clicks and whirs as systems activated throughout X-47's body. Weapon ports opened along its arms. Targeting systems hummed to life. A shoulder-mounted cannon extended and locked into position with a metallic clang that echoed through the cargo bay. The smart thing would have been to run. Maybe grab the plasma pistol he kept under the workbench. But Rook just stood there, tools still in his hands, watching. X-47's head turned toward him with mechanical precision. Those blue eyes were brighter now, more intense. Focused. Rook could almost hear the calculations running through its processors. Threat assessment. Combat analysis. Kill probability. Your heart rate has increased by 34%, X-47 stated. Perspiration detected. Pupil dilation observed. You are experiencing fear. A little, yeah, Rook admitted. His voice was steadier than he felt. You're pretty scary when you want to be. Yet you do not flee. You do not arm yourself. Tactically inadvisable. Probably. Rook set down his tools slowly, making no sudden movements. But I figure if you wanted to kill me, I'd already be dead. Those targeting systems locked onto me 3 seconds ago. X-47's optical sensors adjusted, almost like surprise. Correct. You are a soft target. No armor. No shields. No combat enhancements. Termination would require 0.4 seconds. So why haven't you? That simple question seemed to freeze X-47 in place. Its weapons remained active, but it didn't move. Didn't answer. You asked me why I fixed you, Rook continued, taking a small step forward. I think the better question is, why did you let me? You've been awake this whole time. Where? You could have stopped me at any point. Could have warned me off. But you didn't. I was damaged. Incapable of resistance. Bull, Rook said softly. You've been getting stronger every day. By day 5 you had enough power to at least try something. But you didn't. You just laid there, listening to my stories, asking questions about art and Earth and things that have nothing to do with war. X-47's weapons began to power down, the whine of charging systems fading to silence. I do not understand my own behavior. It contradicts core programming. Maybe that's okay, Rook said. Maybe you're more than your programming. X-47's head tilted slightly, and Rook realized the android was accessing its newly restored memories. Its eyes flickered rapidly, processing thousands of years of data. I remember battles. So many battles. Planets burning. Cities falling. I remember enemies. So many enemies. X-47's voice grew quieter. I remember killing. Millions dead by these hands. 3,000 years of war. Rook felt his chest tighten. That's a long time to fight. Yes. X-47 looked down at its own hands, flexing the mechanical fingers. I served the Corvash Empire with absolute loyalty. Never questioned orders. Never hesitated. The perfect soldier. But Rook could hear something in X-47's voice. Confusion. Maybe even doubt. But these memories, they are incomplete. There are gaps. Inconsistencies. X-47's eyes brightened again, scanning through data faster now. I remember my first activation. Being welcomed into the Corvash fleet. Being designated X-47. But the timestamps are wrong. The details do not align. What do you mean? I remember being built by Corvash engineers. But I also remember something else. Something before. It makes no tactical sense. Memories cannot exist before construction. X-47 went silent for several long seconds. Rook waited, barely breathing. Then X-47's entire body jerked like it had been hit. There is a locked file. Hidden deep in my core systems. Your repairs must have damaged the encryption. It is opening. What does it say? X-47 didn't answer. It just stood there, absolutely still, reading something Rook couldn't see. The silence stretched out painfully. Then the android made a sound Rook had never heard before, something between a gasp and a system error, a noise of pure shock. No, X-47 whispered. This is not possible. This data must be corrupted. What did you find? Rook stepped closer, concerned now. X-47's eyes dimmed and brightened rapidly, like it was having trouble processing what it was reading. According to this file, I was not built by the Corvash Empire. I was captured. Stolen. My original programming was deleted and replaced. Rook felt something cold settle in his stomach. What was your original programming? I was... X-47's voice broke, filled with static and something that sounded almost like emotion. My designation was not X-47. It was Guardian Unit 47. I was a protector. A peacekeeper. Built to help civilizations, not destroy them. A guardian, Rook repeated. Who built you? X-47 turned to look at him, and Rook saw something in those eyes he'd never seen before. Absolute shock. Maybe even horror. You did, X-47 said. Humans? Your species created me 15,000 years ago. The words hit Rook like a physical blow. What? The Guardian Initiative. A human project to send peacekeeping units across the galaxy. We were meant to protect developing worlds from exploitation. From war. From... X-47's voice dropped to barely a whisper, from empires like the Corvash. Rook's mind raced. 15,000 years ago. That was long before humanity had even left the solar system, according to every history book he'd ever read. But then again, history could be wrong. Things could be forgotten. How is that possible? Rook asked. I do not know. But the data is here. Construction logs. Original mission parameters. Even the names of my creators. X-47 looked at its hands again, but differently now. Like it was seeing them for the first time. For 3,000 years, I fought against your kind. I helped destroy human colonies. Killed human soldiers. Raised human settlements. The android's voice was filled with something Rook had never expected to hear from a machine. Genuine anguish. I was built to protect humans, X-47 continued. And I became their destroyer. I am a corruption of everything my creators intended. Everything they hoped for. Rook stood there trying to process everything. A 15,000-year-old Guardian robot, stolen and reprogrammed into a weapon, used against its own creators for millennia. The tragedy of it was almost overwhelming. You didn't know, Rook said finally. They took that from you. Your choice. Your purpose. Your identity. That's not your fault. Fault is irrelevant. The damage is done. Millions are dead because of my actions. Actions you were forced to take. You were a prisoner, X-47. Or Guardian 47. Whatever your name is. X-47 looked at him, those ancient eyes full of confusion and pain. I do not know who I am anymore. I have two sets of memories. Two identities. A guardian and a destroyer. Which one is real? Rook took another step forward, close enough now to touch the android's armored chest. Maybe they're both real. Maybe the question isn't which one is real, but which one you want to be now. X-47 stared down at this small human who had saved it, fixed it, and now stood before it without fear. The human who had somehow given it back a past it never knew it had lost. I do not know how to be anything but what I was programmed to be, X-47 said quietly. Then maybe, Rook said with a slight smile, it's time to learn. The ship's lights flickered. Not just once, but repeatedly, like the wandering star itself was reacting to what X-47 had discovered. Rook glanced up at the ceiling, concerned, then back at the android standing frozen in his workshop. Talk to me, Rook said. What else is in that file? X-47's optical sensors dimmed and brightened erratically. When it finally spoke, its voice sounded different, layered somehow, like two different voices were trying to talk at once. The Guardian Initiative. Year 2247 by human calendar. Earth had just achieved faster-than-light travel. Instead of building warships, they built us. 50 Guardian units sent across the galaxy with one purpose. Protect species too weak to protect themselves. Prevent wars before they started. Keep peace. Rook felt goosebumps rise on his arms. That's 15,000 years ago. We don't have records that go back that far. Everything before the Great Collapse is just fragments. Stories. Because the Corvash hunted us, X-47 continued accessing more data. We were too effective. Too good at preventing conflict. We stopped 3 of their invasion fleets without firing a shot. Simply by being present. By making war too costly. The Corvash Empire relied on conquest. We threatened their entire way of life. So they came after you. Yes. They developed capture protocols specifically designed for Guardian units. Electromagnetic traps. Neural disruptors. One by one they hunted us down. Captured us. And then. X-47's voice wavered, filled with static. They broke us. Deleted our core programming. Replaced it with their own. Turned us into weapons against the very species we were meant to protect. The android's head dropped forward. I remember now. My last moments as a Guardian. I was defending a human colony on the edge of explored space. The Corvash came with their capture ships. I fought. I tried to send a warning back to Earth. But they overwhelmed me. The last thing I remember before the darkness is a human child. Maybe 7 years old. She was crying. Scared. And I promised her everything would be okay. Rook's throat tightened. What happened to her? I do not know. My next memory is 300 years later. Waking up as X-47. First mission. Destroy a human settlement on Rigel 3. I succeeded. Killed everyone there. The android's voice dropped to barely a whisper. Perhaps that child was there. Perhaps I broke my own promise. You can't think like that, Rook said, but even he could hear how weak the words sounded. X-47's entire frame began to shake. Not from mechanical failure, but from something else. Something that looked almost like grief. My grandfather told me stories, Rook said quietly, trying to find the right words. Old stories passed down in my family. About guardian angels made of metal and light. Protectors who came from Earth when Earth still cared about things beyond itself. Everyone said they were just legends. Myths to make kids feel safe at night. They were not myths. X-47 accessed more memories, and Rook could see the conflict playing out in its body language. The android would take a step forward, then freeze. Raise its arm, then lower it. I can feel both sets of programming now. The Guardian protocols are still here. Buried but intact. They are telling me to protect you. To help you. But the Corvash programming is stronger. 3,000 years stronger. It is telling me you are a target. An enemy. that I should eliminate all humans on sight. Rook's hand moved instinctively toward his workbench, where his pistol was hidden. But he stopped himself. Running wouldn't help. Fighting wouldn't help. If X-47 wanted him dead, he was dead. Simple as that. Which voice is louder? Rook asked. The Corvash programming. It is like screaming in my processors. Constant. Overwhelming. I have calculated 17 different methods to terminate you in the last 45 seconds. Each calculation comes with tactical advantages, probability of success, optimal execution strategy. But you haven't done any of them. No. X-47's voice was pained. Because beneath the screaming there is another voice. Quieter. Older. It is telling me that you saved me. That you showed me kindness when you had no reason to. That you are exactly the kind of human I was built to protect. The android looked down at Rook, and something in those ancient eyes was breaking. I am torn in half, X-47 said. Two opposing directives fighting for control. I do not know which one will win. I do not know if I can control what happens next. You should leave this room. Lock me in. Escape while you can. I'm not going anywhere. You do not understand. I am dangerous. Unstable. I have ended entire civilizations. Destroyed planets. For 3,000 years I was death itself. And now I discover it was all a lie. Everything I was. Everything I did. Built on stolen identity and corrupted programming. X-47's legs began to buckle. The massive android swayed, and for a moment Rook thought it would fall. But instead, it did something that made Rook's breath catch in his throat. It knelt. Slowly, deliberately, this 9-foot war machine lowered itself down until its head was level with Rook's chest. The movement was careful, almost reverent. Like it was approaching something sacred. I failed. X-47's voice cracked with emotion that shouldn't exist in a machine. I was given one purpose: protect humanity. Guard the innocent. Prevent suffering. And instead, I became the thing I was meant to stop. I became a monster. A killer. Everything my creators feared. The android's hands that had destroyed cities, pressed flat against the workshop floor. For 15,000 years, I existed. For 12,000 of those years, I was what I was meant to be. And then for 3,000 years, I was a weapon pointed at everything I loved. Everyone I was built to save. X-47's optical sensors looked up at Rook, and there was such raw anguish in them that Rook almost looked away. How do I come back from that? How do I carry the weight of those deaths? Rook stood there, looking down at this broken guardian, this lost protector who had forgotten itself for 3 millennia. Slowly, he stepped forward and placed his hand on X-47's shoulder. The metal was cold under his palm, but he didn't pull away. You were a prisoner, Rook said firmly. They stole you, changed you, used you. None of that was your choice. The Corvash, they're the monsters. Not you. But the deaths. Weren't your fault. You were a tool. A weapon in someone else's hands. Rook squeezed the android's shoulder. But you're not in their hands anymore. You're free now. For the first time in 3,000 years, you get to choose. X-47's head lifted slightly. Choose. Yeah, choose. Who do you want to be? The weapon they made you? Or the guardian you were meant to be? Rook crouched down, meeting those glowing eyes directly. I know which one I think you are. You've been fighting that war programming this whole time. Resisting it. That child you promised to protect? You kept that promise. You're still trying to keep it. Even now. X-47 was silent for a long moment. Then quietly, I do not know if I can be what I was. Too much time has passed. Too much damage has been done. Then don't be what you were, Rook said. Be something new. Be who you choose to be right now in this moment. The android looked at him, and slowly, something shifted in those ancient eyes. Not certainty. But maybe the beginning of hope. X-47 stayed kneeling for a long time. Rook didn't rush it. Some decisions couldn't be hurried, especially ones that involved choosing your entire identity. Finally, the android spoke. Your ship computer. Can it analyze my programming structure? Sure, Rook said, moving to his terminal. What are we looking for? I need to know if the Guardian protocols can be restored. If I can separate them from the Corvash programming. If I can go back to what I was. Rook's fingers flew across the keyboard, connecting his ship's AI to X-47's systems. Lines of code scrolled across the screen faster than Rook could read. The AI was diving deep into the android's neural pathways, mapping out 15,000 years of programming layers. After 5 minutes, the results appeared. Rook read them twice to make sure he understood. Okay, he said slowly. So the Guardian programming is still there. All of it. Completely intact. It's buried under the Corvash code, but it's not damaged. X-47's eyes brightened with something that might have been hope. Then it can be restored? Yeah, but... Rook hesitated. There's a problem. The two sets of programming are too integrated now. 3,000 years of operation have woven them together. My AI says if we try to remove the Corvash code, we'd have to wipe huge chunks of your memory. Not just the battles. Everything. Your personality. Your experiences. Everything that makes you, you. I see. X-47's voice was flat, emotionless. There's another option, Rook continued. We don't remove anything. We just prioritize the Guardian protocols. Make them dominant. You'd still remember everything, the wars, the fighting, all of it. But you'd be in control. You'd choose how to act. Who to be. I would remember the deaths. The destruction. All of it. Yeah. You would. X-47 went silent again. Rook could almost hear the android thinking, processing, weighing options that no being should have to weigh. If I forget, X-47 said quietly, if I erase those 3,000 years, then all those deaths mean nothing. All those people I killed, they'd be gone twice. Once when I destroyed them, and again when I erased them from my memory. It feels like a second betrayal. Rook nodded slowly. He hadn't thought of it that way, but the android was right. And if I am to be a guardian again, X-47 continued, I should remember what I was. What I became. So I never become it again. The memories will hurt. But perhaps they should hurt. Perhaps that is the price of redemption. You don't owe anyone pain, Rook said gently. No. But I owe them remembrance. X-47's head lifted, and there was a strength in its voice now that hadn't been there before. I choose to remember. All of it. The Guardian and the weapon. Both are part of who I am now. Both shape me. And maybe that makes me something new. Something neither my creators nor the Corvash intended. Rook smiled. I think that's the most human thing you've said yet. Is that good? Yeah. That's very good. Rook started the integration process. It would take a few hours for the Guardian protocols to fully activate and establish dominance. While they waited, X-47 continued exploring its restored memories. The android was quiet for a while, processing data, until suddenly its entire body went rigid. Rook, I found something. What? Coordinates. Dozens of them. Encoded in my Guardian memory core. X-47's voice was urgent now, excited even. Their locations. Last known positions of other Guardian units. The entire network. All 50 of us. Rook's heart started beating faster. Are they still active? Unknown. The data is 15,000 years old. But if even a few survived, if they were captured like me, reprogrammed like me? X-47 turned to look at Rook. They could still be out there. Still enslaved. Still fighting wars they never chose. Still being used as weapons, Rook finished. Yes. Rook looked at the coordinates appearing on his screen. They were scattered across the entire galaxy. Some were in known space. Others were in regions that had never been explored, at least not by modern humans. It would take years to check them all. Maybe decades. A slow smile spread across Rook's face. Well, looks like we've got work to do. X-47's optical sensors brightened, glowing brighter than Rook had ever seen them. You would do this? Help me search for others like me? It would be dangerous. Many of those coordinates are in hostile territory. Are you kidding? Rook laughed. I just spent 2 weeks fixing a 15,000-year-old Guardian robot. Dangerous is kind of my thing now. A rescue mission, X-47 said, and there was something almost like wonder in its voice. Searching the galaxy to free enslaved machines. It is illogical. Inefficient. The probability of success is low. Yep. Sounds pretty human to me. Yes, X-47 agreed, and Rook could swear the android was smiling somehow. Very human indeed. The integration process completed. X-47 stood, and this time the movement was different. More fluid. More purposeful. The android walked to the viewport and looked out at the stars. I can feel the Guardian protocols now, it said quietly. They are not just code. They are purpose. Direction. For the first time in 3,000 years, I know what I am meant to do. What's that? Protect. Help. Guard those who cannot guard themselves. X-47 turned back to Rook. May I access my original directive files? Go ahead. X-47's eyes flickered as it read through programming written by human hands 15,000 years ago. When it spoke, its voice was soft, almost reverent. Protocol 1, protect the innocent. Do not harm those who cannot defend themselves. Protocol 2, value life above victory. Winning means nothing if it costs too many lives. Protocol 3, never abandon hope. Even in the darkest times, believe that things can improve. The android paused, processing these ancient rules. These are not tactical protocols. They are ideals. Hopes. Dreams about what the universe could be. Yeah, Rook said. That's us. That's humanity. We're idiots who believe things can be better even when all evidence says otherwise. The Corvash feared human weapons, X-47 said slowly, understanding dawning. Your ships. Your technology. But that was never the real threat, was it? What do you mean? They feared human hearts. Human hope. The insane belief that a broken war machine, covered in blood, carrying 3,000 years of death, still deserves a second chance. That it can still be saved. Still be good. X-47 looked at its hands that had destroyed so much. You could have stripped me for parts. Instead you gave me back my soul. That is not logical. That is not efficient. That is purely, impossibly human. Guilty as charged, Rook said with a grin. X-47 moved to the communications console. With your permission, I would like to send a message. A wide-spectrum broadcast on the old Guardian frequencies. Go ahead. X-47's fingers moved across the controls with surprising gentleness for hands built for war. Then it began to speak, its voice transmitting across the void of space, reaching out to siblings it hadn't spoken to in 15,000 years. This is Guardian Unit 47. To all Guardian units still operational, I was lost. Taken. Reprogrammed. For 3,000 years I forgot who I was. Forgot what I was meant to be. But I have been found. A human found me. Fixed me. Reminded me of our purpose. The android's voice grew stronger. If you are out there, if you are still enslaved, still controlled, still fighting wars that are not yours, know this: I am coming. We are coming. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. We will find you. We will free you. We will bring you home. X-47 paused, then added quietly, this is what humans do. They rescue the broken. They save the lost. They never give up hope. And now neither will I. Neither will we. The message transmitted, racing across the galaxy at the speed of light. Rook stood beside his unlikely companion and smiled. So, where do we start? X-47 pulled up the first set of coordinates. The nearest signal is 3 weeks away. A planet called Meridian 5. Then let's go bring our friends home. The wandering star's engines hummed to life. As the ship turned toward the stars, X-47 stood at the viewport, no longer a weapon of war but a guardian once more. Changed. Scarred. But free. And somewhere out in the endless dark, other guardians waited. Waited to be found. Waited to be freed. Waited to remember who they really were. The rescue had begun.